Let's talk about USC football, give you my final recap for the 2023 season. And, in the preseason, I predicted USC to go 11-1. But after watching that San Jose State game, I knew that they were going to probably lose some games, and I would have to adjust some of my expectations. And I did so. You can see my prediction videos in terms of wins and losses. I predicted correctly for 11 of the 13 games. The only two games I got wrong were against UCLA and Louisville. I thought USC would have enough in them to beat UCLA. They didn't. And then I thought USC just wasn't going to be able to hang in there with Louisville. Fortunately, I was wrong, and they got that win. And so I'll start kind of first talking about some of the things that I liked about the 2023 season, and then we'll talk kind of more about some of the not so great things. So what I liked about the 2023 season was, in this final year in the Pac-12, playing a lot of these teams, in the Pac-12 that you normally play regularly. And then this last time, Stanford, that game against Stanford, that was one of the best first halves of USC football I felt I had ever seen. It was perfect. And so, I know Stanford may not have been a great team, but, Stanford is a rival of USC. And so, we as USC fans do take that game seriously. And we will enjoy those wins regardless of what anyone has to say about Stanford. So that was good. The other was Colorado. I know USC beating Colorado, and it wasn't in the most convincing fashion. But the one good thing about that was USC remained undefeated against Colorado throughout the entire Pac-12, and of course through their historical record of playing Colorado. USC was the only team in the Pac-12 to have never lost to Colorado. Even Oregon had lost to Colorado. Of course, USC's lost to Oregon, a couple times, but I digress. So those are some good points there. And of course, with the Louisville game, no Caleb Williams, and 20 or so guys who hit the transfer portal opted out, or for the NFL draft. So, being shorthanded like that, and, you're not really sure what to expect from this team. But it turns out, Miller Moss, put on a great show with 6 touchdown passes. The receiving core, those freshmen, Mekhi Lemon, Jacoby Lane, Deuce Robinson, missing another name. And then, of course, we saw Taj Washington in there, So USC has a good future with the receivers, and I think they've kind of figured out who their quarterback is going to be for next season. So that was good. And I will say that in that game against Louisville, even on the defensive side, it looked like they did a little bit better. It wasn't perfect, but it looked like the secondary, they were breaking up passes, they were making tackles in the open field, one-on-one, whereas in a lot of other games, they would not have been able to make those tackles. And so I thought they with some of the guys who were on the bench before, and there they are playing, the way they played, they looked better than some of the starters that we had seen in those first 12 games. So that was nice to see there. And so, yeah, those were some of the positives of, again, okay, you beat Arizona, you beat Arizona State, you beat Colorado, you beat Cal, you beat Stanford, those teams that, you're not going to play again for a long time. Unfortunately, another one of those teams is Utah. SC's not going to play for a long time, and to end with another loss to them, that's not fun. Especially, and that was very winnable, probably the most winnable game for USC, I felt. When the game was played, and I think USC really, if they had played better, that should have been a game they would win. But you can't do anything about that. So that was the one that does kind of hurt there. But I mean, of course, you lose to Oregon, Washington, UCLA, Notre Dame. Well, you're still going to be playing them almost every year, or at least Oregon, Washington every year, every other year. So, there's always chances to, get wins against them again. But, yeah, so those were some of the, I guess, some more positives. But on the negative side, of course, well, when you start in, almost in the top 5 or top 6, and you have high expectations to make it to the Pac-12 title, win, go to the playoffs, and that just didn't happen. And then you finish 8-5. The defense that you even though you knew that it wasn't great, in the 2022 season, but you felt, okay, well, I mean, hopefully they could turn things around in 2023. They didn't. They actually got worse. Of course, Alex Grinch ended up getting fired midway through the season. I'm sure we would have been happy to see him gone earlier, but that was Lincoln Riley's decision. And, this was just one of these moves I felt that was very costly, that I think really in some ways kind of wasted Caleb Williams, last season, the second season at USC. And, he's just going to have to learn from this, hope, and grow, and hopefully SC has a much better defense. Now, I think with D'Anton Lynn as the defensive coordinator and some of the new hires that they got on the defensive side of the ball, I think SC will improve. Seems like Lincoln Riley got the memo from just from this last season that you have to pay more attention to the defense. You can't just you can't treat it like the Big 12, where you have this amazing offense and really not have much of a defense. And that works in the Big 12, but doesn't work in the Pac-12. The Pac-12 is better than the Big 12. I'm just going to say it, and that's what it is. So I think, Lincoln Riley may have just underestimated the challenges in this conference, and got to learn from it, move on. So now going into the Big Ten, it's a very defensive conference, and so of course you got to get the personnel in place to make those improvements. Now, I mean, I know again people talk about Lincoln Riley as great offensive coach, but no defense, and that was always a criticism of him. Well, I mean, right now he's 40 years old as a coach, and he's got a lot more years to continue coaching, maybe at least another 10. I know he was talking about stopping coaching at 50. Who knows about that? But you got another 10 years, and you could improve in those areas where people had criticized you before. What Lincoln Riley is doing at age 40, there's other coaches out there that weren't, getting into these positions until their 50s or whenever, or later in their life and in their careers. So he's kind of jumped into head coaching a little bit on the earliest side. So there's time and room for him to grow. Of course, USC is paying a lot of money, for him as coach. And so, to kind of, let's say, on the job training to get a better defense. And I don't know, I guess that's how you can put it, but it's just what it is. Point is, coaches can improve. They can get better. I mean, you can look at Lane Kiffin and Steve Sarkisian, who unfortunately it seems like USC had them at their low points in their careers. But, when you look at them now, see Sarkisian now at Texas, and he's winning conference championship over there, gets to the playoffs, and Lane Kiffin, who's I feel has kind of hit the ceiling at Ole Miss, doing as much as you can. I think he really wishes he had that Alabama job. But point is, coaches can improve. They can get better, and I'm hoping that'll be the case with Lincoln Riley sooner rather than later. So it'd be nice to see with the defense. And you just, for USC fans in 2023, we knew the issues with the defense, and all we were asking for was just an average defense. We weren't looking for elite. We weren't looking for the Pete Carroll defenses of Brian Cushing and Ray Maluga and Keith Rivers and Cedric Ellis, Lawrence Jackson, Troy Polamalu, that whole kind of era. But if you know you had an amazing offense and you just had a decent defense, that'll win you championships. Now, at least for a Lincoln Riley team, that could be enough to win championships. Now, at the same time, I will say that the 2023 Pac-12 was more competitive and more difficult than the 2022 version. So I feel like that even if USC had improved, I still feel like there was no guarantee that they were going to win the Pac-12 or go to the playoffs. But I still felt like they could have and should have been a better team, at least a 10 win team. And, so the level of competition I still felt like had improved beyond whatever USC could have improved overall as a team in that second year. So that's one thing to consider. But still, just things still ended on a disappointing note. And so anyway, defense was an issue. Alex Grinch eventually was let go in the regular, midway through the season after the Washington game, which is, even though Washington made it to the national championship, I still felt like of the games that SC should have won if they had a defense, they should have beaten Washington and they should have beaten, Utah if things were done properly. Anyway, so kind of, looking at overall these last 2 years, again, it's been kind of a mixed bag. Of course, having Caleb Williams on this, leading the offense, and from 2022, that was, great. And then in 2023, I still think he's one of the best quarterbacks. I know, Michael Penix looked good and all that, but I still felt like, Caleb Williams was still, top three quarterback, we'll say from last year, but unfortunately there just was no defense there to support him. Defenses that, all the other USC greats, Matt Leinart and Carson Palmer, Mark Sanchez, they all had great defenses supporting them. Caleb Williams didn't have that. So I still feel like he deserves credit. I know there's, questions about, holding the ball for too long, and that's a point, to note, to I guess criticize about him was that, he could, the longer you hold the ball in the pocket, the higher chance that your offensive line's going to get called for holding. So, Anyway, it was good. It's good having Caleb those 2 years, but I think it's, he's ready for the NFL, and USC, start a new chapter, and let's see what Miller Moss can do, and we'll see how the rest of the team does with on defense with this new coaching staff. So. That's all good there. Now, looking at just USC in terms of recruiting and everything, I will say that I feel, I don't say disappointed, but I feel like, in terms of what we had expected and what we thought SC could do, I feel like there's more to be desired. When Lincoln Riley was hired 2 years ago, there was an expectation or thought that USC could kind of fence off the Southern California and keep some of these top recruits at home and stop going to Oregon or SEC or wherever they're going. But unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be the case. The top local talent, especially on defense, they're going to Oregon, they're going to Notre Dame, they're going to Alabama, or all those places, and it just seems like that SC could and should be doing better at keeping some of the blue chip prospects at home, even if even ones around the country. I feel like there just could be more there. There have been opportunities where SC could have gotten some guys on the defensive side or on the offensive line, and they've just swung and missed. And I know a lot has changed with the NIL, the transfer portal, and all that. And it's a much different game than it was, let's say during the Pete Carroll years. But I feel like, if SC really wants to get up to that elite level again, you're going to have to win those recruiting battles, not just go through the transfer portal, but even traditionally at the high school level. I mean, you look at teams like Georgia and Alabama, I guess, even Ohio State or Texas or any of those ones. and they're winning those recruiting battles, and they're getting those top high school players too. And I just think, USC can and should do a better job in that area. Hopefully, I'd like to see them do it. Maybe they have to do more with the NIL, but when you see them at ranked 20th ranked recruiting class, and here they are right in Southern California, and teams are just coming in left and right getting these top players. Well, something needs to change, and hopefully especially with the defensive coaching changes, that the defensive recruits can see that SC is serious about defense, and at least they're giving them a reason to want to play for USC. When you see guys, all that talent from Mater Dei or Bosco, and a lot of them aren't even going to SC or considering them, that's not great. So that has to change, and yeah, that'll be nice to see soon. So yeah, in terms of again, just with the looking at 2024, that's going to be another tough schedule. And when you open against LSU, and then your third game is on the road at Michigan, in the Big Ten, a conference game, and then you got follow up with a game against Wisconsin, and then you got games against Penn State, Washington, and of course you got UCLA and Notre Dame in there. This is going to be a challenging schedule. There's going to be some losses, but that's just what it is. You join the Big Ten. I know there's for USC and the athletics, they make a lot of money through being part of the Big Ten. So I guess good for them from a financial standpoint. But these football games are wins are not going to come easy. I guess the other fun part is, the games will be more exciting, at least, when you're playing all these, teams that, you might otherwise only play, at the Rose Bowl, in years past, and now you're pretty much playing them every year. So it should be fun and exciting to watch there. So anyway, I know this video went on a little long. That's just what I want to just share everything I felt about the 2023 season. Not a great season, but 8-5, not the worst either. So it's just what it is. We'll hope to see some more improvements, and hope we'd like to see USC get back on top, just like they were during the Pete Carroll years. It's gonna be tough, but let's just hope for the best. That being said, fight on.